What a time it has been with the Sony FX30, and unfortunately, I do have to hand it back. The postman is going to be coming in about 15 minutes from now, so I really don't want to give this back. But there are some interesting topics that I've, recorded over these last few days of having this, and I've really just pushed the limits and done so much with this camera, as much as I could within the time frame. This is a pre-production copy as well, so things could potentially change in terms of the firmware and all those kind of things. But today we're going to be talking about the Sony a7 IV against the FX30, and especially when it comes to that downsampled footage, because they're both downsampled cameras. The FX30 is an APS-C side sensor. They do obviously have different sensors. But when it comes to the 4K 50 and 4K 100, that's going to be interesting because is it line skipped? Is it pixel binned? It doesn't seem to be downsampled. So it's something we're going to be exploring today with the FX30. Now, this video is sponsored by Storyblocks, but more on that one later. Hey, my friends, I hope you're all doing absolutely amazing. And yes, we've got another video talking about the FX30 because it is going to be the hot topic at this point in time because it's a brand new camera from Sony and it's in the Cine line. And it is feature packed, except it does have some cons, which a lot of people are probably going to pick on, the 4K crop in that 120 and a couple of other little features that, people wish it actually had. And but the price point, $1,700 US. I mean, that is crazy cheap for what you're actually getting. This is the first APS-C camera that's the high-end one since the FS5 and FS7. So that's the previous range that was replaced with the FX6 and FX9. So that's why I'm extremely excited about this, because it is, high-end APS-C, and it is pretty much affordable because APS-C lenses tend to be cheaper. But we're going to be comparing it against the Sony a7 IV because the Sony a7 IV is a downsampled sensor as well as this one. Now, the a7 IV is a 33 megapixel full frame sensor, so it's a 7K sensor that downsamples to 4K, whereas this is a 26 megapixel sensor that's a 6K sensor that downsamples to 4K. But I've noticed something in 4K 50, and that is potentially, is it actually line skipped? Is it pixel binned? Because it doesn't seem to be downsampled when it goes into that 4K 50, mainly for the fact that it doesn't look sharper than the a7 IV, because the a7 IV crops it in 4K 50, so it's about a 12 megapixel sensor when it gets to 4K 50. You would imagine that, being 20-ish megapixels in APS-C, that the FX30 will be sharper than the a7 IV. Not just sharper, but more resolution, more detail. But it seems very, very similar. Now, also, don't forget, you shouldn't really be zooming in this close anyway. And if you are, well, you're just worried about the specs too much and not worried about the actual filming, the story, composition, all those kind of things that actually matter. I'm just doing this for a little bit of fun and just to educate you guys into what you're going to be getting if you are investing in this camera. So if you look at it side by side when it comes to the a7 IV and FX30, this is at 500% zoomed in. Now, these both have the same lenses and they both have the exact same crop because the a7 IV is cropped in 4K 50 and obviously the FX30 is a crop sensor. Now, you consider there should be a massive difference between the FX30 and a7 IV, but it's very minor. Like it's really minimal. You can barely tell if you are absolutely pixel peeping on my screen as opposed to, the compressed YouTube video. It doesn't really seem like there's much of a difference, but the noise is something a little bit different here, whereas the FX30 does seem to have slightly smaller amounts of noise than the a7 IV, and that could still mean that it might still be oversampled by a little bit, but whether it's pixel binned, whether it's line skipped, or whether it's just downsampled a little bit, it's really hard to tell, and I don't actually know, but it just doesn't seem ridiculously high resolution and highly detailed against the a7 IV. And considering that the FX30 should be roughly about 8 megapixels more resolution than the a7 IV when it comes to this APS-C crop. This is an interesting video. What do you guys think? Do you think it is line skipped? Do you think it is pixel binned? Because it just doesn't seem like a downsampled sensor. I really want to get my hands on the FX30 again because I just need to do more testing on this and obviously let you guys know an informed decision if you're going to be buying this camera. Now, I absolutely do recommend this camera. It's phenomenal. It is a really good APS-C camera, 10-bit color, and it's got 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second, 1080 and 240 frames per second. It's a great camera and it's going to get you incredible looking images. And I filmed a whole Muay Thai, promo video on it. So I filmed a couple of other promotional videos with Joanna that you're going to see in this video, or you just saw before as well. So yes, this video is sponsored by Storyblocks. Now, a lot of people think Storyblocks is just for videos and photos that you can download and, put into your client work or put into this YouTube video. But you can actually download some templates, which you can actually put into like Premiere Pro or Adobe After Effects. And you can actually do like call out titles and stuff. And that is extremely useful. And that's what I actually do in a lot of my videos, especially with my name, or if there's a camera comparison popping up side to side, you can actually do call outs and customize obviously those call outs in Premiere Pro and After Effects, and that just makes it so much easier because who the hell knows how to make titles? Come on, Storyblocks has you covered there, and all you have to do is download it, drop it in. Especially if it is a Moget, you can just pretty much drag and drop and change a whole bunch of little things, and it just makes it so much easier. But yeah, obviously it does. You can download stock videos and stock photos, which are extremely handy, especially if you don't have the ability to record something, or you just need some little bits and pieces for a skit, for instance. And in the unlimited all access plan gives you unlimited downloads to over 1 million assets in the library. So try out the multiple options quickly and you can find the perfect fit so you can create more, spend less without sacrificing quality. And just make sure you click in the link in the description below, storyblocks.com/Jason Morris. Helps me out obviously as well, but I'm still holding on to this. I really need to take this downstairs to the postie because he should be here in any minute. They say be home from, 9 to 1 and they'll probably come at 12:59. So I don't actually know. All right, thanks Storyblocks. Let's get back into the video. Yeah, so, part of me really wants it to be a downsampled image in that 4K, but the detail just doesn't really feel like it's there compared to the A7 IV when it comes to that crop mode. And it's not like you're comparing full frame versus APS-C, because when you're in the A7 IV in 4K 50, it does crop in, and the FX30 is a crop sensor, so you're pretty much comparing apples to apples here. And it should be, really detailed and higher resolution because, you have that 6K sensor that downsamples the 4K. The only thing that really makes me feel like it is still downsampled is that noise. The noise seems to be finer, which you tend to see in downsampled sensors because you've got, a larger image and you're squeezing it in. So you're reducing the size of the pixels and reducing the size of the noise from the sensor. Now, yes, there is that crop in 4K 100 frames per second. And I know there's probably going to be a whole bunch of people not liking this, but I think this is really good for sports and wildlife videographers because it's going to give you a really cropped in, I think it's a 1:1 readout potentially, maybe that's why they did it. And it's going to have a low rolling shutter. So that's going to be really good for wildlife when you're punching in 4K 100 frames per second, trying to get really fast pans with motion of birds and following cars and stuff when it comes to sports and all those kind of videography things that you would do with fast pans and all those sort of things. Having that crop, faster rolling shutter will actually be beneficial. Now, sure, you don't have that downsampled footage, and you do have to account for that with the lenses that you're going to be using. So if you are a wedding videographer and it does crop in, obviously you do have to take notice of that. If you are a real estate videographer and it does crop in at 4K 100, you probably should use 4K 60 then, or use a full frame camera. FX30 is always there, but this is priced extremely well. And this makes me excited because Sony have brought out a new 10-bit sensor that is in an APS-C range, and this could unlock new potentials in the APS-C game when it comes to Sony. Sure, you've got Fujifilm out there doing some great things, but you're locked into a system where you can't really go anywhere else if you want to do video. You're locked into APS-C and you're very limited there. Sony have their Cine line, full frame cameras. Venice even shares the Sony E-mount. You have so much more versatility with Sony as an ecosystem than you do with Fuji or Blackmagic Design, all those kind of cameras. So think about the ecosystem when you're investing in this camera. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. That'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I really hope these videos have, given you a whole bunch of information. It's obviously pre-release. Releases, I think, in about a week's time. So hopefully you guys will like it, and I love it. I've already placed I'm going to place my order. I've already made up my mind that I'm going to place the order. So yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.